Hello y'all, and welcome to YoungFolk Knits. Today I want to share all about my finished framed sweater, some works in progress, a test knit, and some sewing finished objects as well. So stick around and we'll get right into it. Hello y'all, and welcome back to YoungFolk Knits. My name is Casey, and this is a channel where I share all about my love of fiber arts. So there's a lot of knitting. I also share some sewing, some crochet, some spinning, some needle art, whatever we might be into at the moment. And I occasionally share about living on a small farm here in Arkansas where my husband, myself, and our children are beekeepers. We love raising gardens and animals, chickens, goats, and just spending time outdoors here in the foothills of the Ozarks. So if any of that sounds like it might be your cup of tea, make sure and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any future video content. All right, y'all. I'm so sorry about my voice. We did have COVID for the last week. All 5 of us in the house did test positive and have been fairly ill. For once, my kiddos bounced back very quickly, I feel like. I do have one kiddo that is immunocompromised. So normally she is just sick all the time, sick the longest, and she actually did get sick first. She always catches things extremely quickly because she doesn't have a very good immune system, and then the rest of us will get it afterwards from her. But thankfully, she bounced back very quickly and is doing really well. My husband and I are not bouncing back as quickly because we're old, and it's been a week of not fun. I'm starting to get my voice back, but it's still, it's still a little scratchy. I'm sorry. Hopefully y'all can hear me and y'all can understand me. I'm also recording a lot later in the day today. Today is Saturday. Let me see. July the 13th, and it's already about 5 o'clock. So I normally record early in the morning, and the lighting is looking different as I'm checking the viewfinder. Hopefully you can see me. I have a lot to share today. I have been in a knitting funk. I haven't been knitting a lot, but I did have one project that was sort of looming because I had a deadline for the Andrea Mowry Rhinebeck Sweater this year, and I was just having a mental block knitting. I don't know what has been going on. And I finally did finish it. I actually even ran out of yarn for one of my sleeves, and I had to order it, and the yarn wasn't available on a website yet because, as you'll see in a moment, it is a newly released yarn. And I was just really stressed about all of it. So because of that, the whole time I was knitting this sweater, I was like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And then now that it's done, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, I love this. This is so pretty. So I did miss the deadline by a little bit, but I did finish it shortly thereafter, and I did finish it in time for the release. The release technically is going to be on Tuesday coming up, but by the time y'all are watching this should be on a Thursday, or if you're watching it after the release. So it was released a few days ago at the point that you're watching this. And it was finished I'm so happy. Without further ado, let me share with you my version of framed. So this is an all over colorwork pattern by Andrea Mowry. And it has bracelet length sleeves. And it is a drop shoulder. It's knit bottom up. And it uses 3 different colors. So the first color is your, I guess technically your main color, but it's not used in the midst of the sweater at all. So this is your hem color, and it calls for the new base from Farmer's Daughter Fibers and Spin Cycle. It's their collab. It's called Spinster's Daughter Worsted. So Spin Cycle mills the yarn, and then Farmer's Daughter Fibers dyes it. And I chose the color Eagle Eye. Yeah, I did Eagle Eye. So it's this warm, very warm cinnamon red brown color. And it's one of my all-time favorites from Farmer's Daughter Fibers. And then you have 2 contrast colors, which make up the body of your sweater to form these quilt squares. So the sample calls for another solid from the Spinster's Daughter worsted base, and then a Spin Cycle Dream State, which is a color shifting yarn. So I chose Love Me Like You Used To for my Spinster's Daughter worsted main contrast color 1. And it is a gray undertone, but it is a warm beigey gray in this base in particular. I think in other bases it might not be so warm, but in this one it is. And then for my other contrast color, I am using Absolute Zero in the Spin Cycle Dream State, which I got from Black Mountain Yarn Shop. I love Black Mountain and Danny and Renee. And I really like the Absolute Zero. So they have, they even have a cell phone at their store, and you can text them. You don't even have to call if you're antisocial like me. You can text them, and if there's a specific color of Spin Cycle that you're interested in, they can go through and show you pictures and help you pick the exact skein that you would like. Because even within specific colorways, they're so different. It's really hard to know what you're going to get if you just put an order in for a colorway. So they helped me get the colors that I wanted. I wanted a bit more of a solid, even though it was the Spin Cycle color shifting yarn for the Dream State, and I felt like Absolute Zero gave some pretty consistent purple and blues, and more of on the cool side, I would say. Definitely not on the warm side. It's more on the cool side, and I really like the result. So you are doing all over color work. You start from the bottom, knit up in the round, doing the quilt square motif, and then once you get to the underarms, you split. So then you're knitting color work flat. But believe me, this was not bad at all. It really wasn't. One thing that is of utmost importance to me in color work is color dominance. So you always want your background color to stay the background color and your contrast color or your dominant color to stay the dominant color. And you want it to always be that way when you're knitting, because it sort of pushes the dominant color yarn forward in front of the background color. Your stitches actually kind of set like this instead of perfectly even. They kind of set like this. So I had a little bit of trouble maintaining that in this pattern, because each square you're changing which one is the dominant color. For instance, in this square, let me see. So in this square right here, the purple is the dominant color, and in this square, the white is the dominant color. So what I ended up doing, because it was a lot trying to switch with each square on, you know, which one was dominant, I ended up holding my purple Absolute Zero Dreamstake color as my dominant color for every single stitch. And I think it worked out just fine. So if you're making this pattern, I think you'll be okay. Maybe just stick to one always being the dominant, one always being the background, and you'll be okay. I wouldn't switch, you know, within squares. So I just didn't switch at all, and that worked out okay. I always hold my contrast color in my left hand and my background color in my right hand, and I did it for all of them, and it worked out just fine. So then you knit the front and the back, and I think what's nice is that this is a drop shoulder, but it has some shoulder shaping with short rows, and she included the short rows in the ribbing. So you're not doing any short row shaping in the color work, which is lovely. You're doing all of it in a single color in this ribbing, which makes it so much easier. And then you go back in and you pick up your collar and you pick up your sleeves, and the sleeves are knit straight. There's no decreasing in it. So you're just following that pattern around and around and around, and you cinch it in for a little bit of ribbing at the bottom. And I am pretty happy with it. Before we go on though, I'd like to say a quick thank you to the sponsor of today's video. When I hit 30, I feel like I really started to focus and zero in on my skincare, and I noticed I just had extremely sensitive skin. Nothing worked for me. I've told you all this before. I could not even use any drugstore products. I basically just had to stop using skincare. Fast forward, and I started trying out Proven. I definitely felt like I just needed a professional to tell me what I should be using on my skin, and that's something I love about Proven. I started first with the Science Genome Quiz. It doesn't take you long, it just takes a couple of minutes. In that short time, I was able to answer a lot of questions about my skin, my concerns. I think it's wonderful because it takes into account things like your water hardness, your exact location, the humidity, the sun exposure that you're receiving. And so whenever it gets that information, it's able to look at all the different things. It does its sciencey thing, and it's able to formulate exactly what your skin needs in a 3-step skincare routine. So you've got a cleanser, which I think smells amazing. You have a day moisturizer, which includes an SPF, and then you have a night cream. So they deliver it right to your door. You get your own personal formulation card. You can see exactly what's in it. I have to tell y'all, my favorite part of the 3-step routine is the cleanser. I just think it smells amazing. It's just light and refreshing. My formulation includes witch hazel extract, which helps fight inflammation, and that is at the top of the list of things that my skin needs. The day moisturizer is lightweight and creamy and moisturizing, but it also has SPF added to it. So that's one last step I need to try to remember. The night cream is lovely. It's thick and luscious and has multiple serums in it. So while you're sleeping, it's doing the job for you. And you can wake up with glowing, refreshed skin ready for the day. Now, your ingredients are going to be different than mine, and that's truly what makes this work so well. Everyone's skin is different, and you're gonna get what your skin needs. Okay, talk about amazing though. This is actually going to change and adapt with you. You can even look a few months in the future and see how they have formulated your 3-step routine a little bit differently. In the winter, you're gonna need something a little bit more moisturizing than you do in the summer. So they just keep everything fresh, keep it exactly what you need when you need it. If you want to simplify your routine, only use what you need, and be getting something that is science-based, science-backed, and formulated especially for you, then head over to provenskincare.com, and you can use my code YoungFolk99, and that way you'll be able to get 50% off the retail price. Thank you so much, Proven Skincare, for sponsoring today's video. All right, let's get back into the making. I have a few thoughts on this sweater. First of all, I love all things quilt squares, so I really like this. And while you're knitting it, the color work can bunch a little bit. My color work is very loose. A lot of people need to go up a needle size for color work, and I find that in socks, I do need to do that. But in large circumference knitting, I am an extremely loose color work knitter. So I do not, I don't have that issue, but your color work definitely needs to be blocked. And while you're knitting it, it can be hard to see the pattern because it's kind of bunched up. It's a little tricky because it's a very busy pattern, but then once it's done and you look at the whole sweater from afar, you're like, oh, I see the pattern and it looks great. So, if you're in the midst of it, don't worry, keep going. It will be okay. Put it down on your bed or on a flat surface and take a picture with your phone from a little bit of a distance, and you'll be able to see the pattern a lot better and might give you, a little bit of confidence that everything is going to be all right. I do like the sleeves. I like that they're shorter. I think it's kind of fun. Mine is definitely not cropped, but it's not long by any means. I did the number of repeats that she called for in the pattern because I wanted it to hit me at my waist, and I like where it hit me. I did, though, do longer ribbing on the hem than she calls for. I always do that because I'm taller, and I do always benefit from a little bit extra. And I did about 2.5 to 3 inches of ribbing. I did do the tubular cast on, and I did a tubular bind off for the collar, but I did not do one for the sleeves. I don't feel like you can ever see it. If you didn't know that I hadn't done it, you wouldn't know. You probably wouldn't even know that I had done it for the collar unless you got really close to me. But I think it looks great. I think that a tubular bind off and cast on look fabulous in a worsted weight, highly plied yarn that has a lot of stitch definition. I think you just really can benefit in that situation from a tubular cast on and bind off. I don't always think that you can tell in a lot of different yarns that you've even done it. This one, I think you can tell, and I think it looks fabulous. I did do the true tubular bind off with the setup rows and everything, and I think it looks great. You also do a 3 needle bind off on her shoulder, which she basically always does in every pattern. That is her thing, and I like it. It looks good. And, there you go. There you have it. It is a very heavy sweater. Worsted weight, super wash, worsted yarn, color work. So it's not just a single, worsted weight yarn that you've got going on through this whole sweater. This is a heavy, hot sweater. I put it on to take pictures of, and I about died because it's July in Arkansas and I've got COVID, and I literally thought I was going to die. It was so hot. Keep that in mind. Probably, wear this in the very cold months. You might could use a different yarn that's more, woolen spun. This is very worsted spun yarn. And you could probably use a woolen spun yarn to make it lighter where it doesn't weigh as much, but it is going to still be extremely warm because that woolen spun yarn, it gives you some heat. It traps that air in there and it warms up with your body. So you're not going to get any less warm by doing a woolen spun, but it would probably be a lot lighter in the weight category. So there's lots of options. When I was first getting ready to cast on, I had in mind, I really, really love Katrin Seeberger's quilt square cardigan. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm sure you guys all know. It's very popular. I love it. I have squares done to make it, but I haven't finished enough of them. And I was thinking I really like the look of different colors. So I thought maybe I could do different contrast color and main color on each row. I can't switch between each square because they're small. There's a ton in each row. But I could do like each each time I finish a repeat or a square, I could do a different color for the next row of squares. And it just did not work out. It did not come to fruition. It was going to be harder than I realized to make all the colors work together. I think it could be really cute though. For me though, this just worked out better, and I'm glad I went with it. So I did want to actually sew something to wear with it. This is not the easiest color to pair with because I've got a lot of linen pants, but a lot of them are so rusty color that this will just absolutely blend right into them. So I was trying to think, what could I wear with this that would be a fun outfit that I could wear all fall and winter? And I decided I needed some Burnside Bibs from Sew House 7. So this is them. I'm just realizing right now that y'all, I'm not going to be able to show these all the way on the camera, so I'll have to put a picture in. But I have had this Merchant & Mills linen for a very long time. I feel like I got it pre-COVID. You know, I judge everything by that. There's like this time period where time stopped. But I think I got this before that. So I've had it for a long time. And I've just kind of been saving it because I love it so much and you can't get it anymore. But it's this really lovely grid of turquoise on top of like a butternut squash mustardy yellow gold. And I love it. I really love it. And so I finally decided it was time. It was time to use it. And the Burnside Bibs were born. I do have an invisible zipper here on the side. So there's two different views. And I did do the invisible zipper on the inside. And they have a belt where you tie it around your waist. And I just love it. I love the sort of wide leg pants portion of it. I love everything about it. If I make these again, which I would like to, I do feel like I need to increase the rise. I need to do a little bit of a seat adjustment because I'm 5'8" and I have a really large chest. Just everything involved in this, I feel like sort of pulls that out of place a little bit. And I think if I just did a seat adjustment where I could add, so there's a very definite waist, which is pulled in with the tie that goes around it. And I feel like that just needs to be lifted up even an inch or two. And so if I did these again, I would, add my adjustment right there by adding an inch more of fabric right there. And I think it would be perfect. I love them. I'm going to wear them a lot. Okay. So I've been doing so good about writing down all of my information in my book. And I can see here that I actually cast on my Rhinebeck sweater April 27th of 2024. And then, believe it or not, I went like a few weeks without working on it. I was just really not doing well with my knitting and my mental space. I cast on like April 27th, but I really didn't start working on it until May. And then I just kind of like put it down and stopped again. And it didn't get finished till the beginning of July. So it took me like a full 2 months to get the motivation to really work on it and finish it. But I love it so much now that it's done. I think it's really beautiful. I forgot to tell y'all what I was wearing. I made a wixon shift dress, and I made the long version. So I got some Mr. Citrus fabric from Merchant & Mills, and it's one of my favorite fabrics I've ever got to sew with. Jelena from Jelena Sue on Instagram, she and I both ordered sewn together at the same time, and she is making pants out of hers, and I made a dress out of mine, the wixon shift dress. I love it. I am going to make a multiple of these dresses. It's literally my favorite style of dress. It's so comfortable. I love the little slits on the side, but they don't come up really high. Of course, you could make the slits any length you wanted to, and I like how the slits are just perfect for a nice little kick flap when you're walking. I love the belt. It adds definition to your waist. I love the big pockets. I love the neckline. I love the sleeves. It just really is so nice. And I hate that you can no longer buy this pattern. I am not sure what exactly happened with Wixon Sewing Company. I remember that they released the Wixon shift dress. There were some pants, and then the very famous Wixon unfolding jacket, which went through a number of name changes. I feel like when it first came out, it might have been called the Wixon kimono, and then it was called Wixon Haori, and then it was called the Wixon unfolding jacket, and now it's no longer available. I do have that pattern as well, thankfully digitally, and I love that pattern too. I've made it 3 times, and it's one of my favorites. So I'm not exactly sure what happened with Wixon, but their patterns are not even available to purchase digitally online. I don't know. Anyway, maybe you can find one on Etsy. That's, you know, an old paper pattern that's still available. What else have I been knitting? I don't even know if I have told y'all about this at all. But Sari Nordland has, she should be releasing this in the next couple days. So by the time this is live, it probably has been released. But I tested the Colette top, which is a sleeveless top or a tank top by Sari Nordland. And it features her same stitch pattern, which is on her Colette pullover and Colette tee. And I love it. I'm a huge fan. So whenever I saw this pattern, I immediately knew what I wanted to knit it in. And it was the Cozy Posy Yarn Co. Lush Lino DK. And it's in the color Storm Clouds. And Antonella, she's always so sweet to me. She's like my go-to girl. She dyed this up for me and shipped it out to me like within days, because I was just like, okay, I'm testing this top for Sari, and she told me how much I'm going to need. And I know that, you know, the test is fixing to start, but it's only like a 2-week turnaround time. And so she dyed this up for me and sent it to me from Canada in time for me to finish this test knit. So Antonella, you're the best. Love Cozy Posy Yarn Co. Love this base. This is the DK version, so it's 65% silk, 35% linen, 115 grams, and 245 yards. I love this, and I think it looks amazing. And look at that stitch definition, y'all. So pretty. So the pattern calls for a double knit neck and double knit armholes. I did the double knit neck, and I felt like it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't perfect for me for what I was looking for. And so instead, on the armholes, I picked them up using a US 2 needle, and I basically just picked up 1 stitch per row, and I knit about 18 rows, and then I cast off and folded it in for a folded edge. And honestly, I feel like it looks so much neater than the double knit button band. I had this on my mind because of the Seagrass Tank by Samantha Guerin, which I'm knitting as well. And I love the armholes and the neckband on it, and even the hem is that as well. And so I feel like it just looks neat and polished and lovely. So I really just need to keep knitting until I get to the length I want, and then do the ribbing. And so I have these pants that I recently sewed using a pattern from Helen's Closet, the Winslow culottes, and I hacked them with a hack that you can find on Helen's Closet's blog, and it's to make them tied wrap pants. I have made these before. I really, really like them, and I wanted to make them again. I wanted to make a couple of modifications. One being I wanted to size down quite a bit, and then I wanted to shorten the rise on these. So I did that with this pair, and I feel like they just turned out exactly how I wanted. This is in the washed linen from Blackbird Fabrics in the color Mojito. So, you don't want to size down too much because you definitely want them to be able to wrap all the way around. And basically, I just went down one size from what I would measure and normally need to be in the size group. And then I cut at least an inch off of the rise, possibly 2. I'm trying to remember. But I think they turned out so wonderfully. I love this color, this chartreuse green, and I'm thinking that if I can finish this week, which I could totally do it if I just was, willing to be a monogamous knitter for a few days. I think this would be such a cute outfit together. So these chartreuse green pants and this charcoaly blue with a little bit of a green undertone top.
The trees, they are singing to the tune of a song, and the wind is gently ringing the bell that brings the morning, the welcome of the dawn. The voice of the robin, the call of the dove, the red leaves are falling, the barn owl is calling, the welcome of the dawn. The dogs will be howling in the early morning light. All are happy to be out in the ending of the night, the welcome of the dawn. The nights are turning colder, soon the falling of the frost. Soon the summer will be over. You feel the change is closer at the welcome of the dawn. The trees, they are singing to the tune of a song, and the wind is gently ringing the bell that brings the morning, the welcome of the dawn. Though the warm days are over, they are not forever gone. Like the dusk brings the night, the summer brings the fall. It won't be long till harvest comes, morning breaks, the welcome of the dawn. Daylight is calling, welcome of the dawn.
I would love to share a little bit about some things that I have gotten in the mail and my plans for them. and talk a little bit about what I'm reading and catch you up on all of that as well. So let me quickly jump into the few acquisitions. Okay, I am an ambassador for the Choose app, and I absolutely love the Choose app. I have found some super fun handmade products from small businesses that I love to support. And this month I picked out 2 different products from the Urban Acres, and it is the punch rug or the punch, what's it called? I think they're called punch rug, punch needle kits. So this one is the first pattern, and it comes, you know, with the pattern on the back, and you've got everything you need. So you've got your embroidery hoop, you've got your darning needle, your punch needle, you even have some sharps, and you have your fabric, and then of course you have all your yarn. So I think this one's gonna be really cute. I couldn't decide, so I got this one and I got this one. And I think that this would actually be really cute on the wall, like right here, maybe. So again, you got the whole kit and the yarn. And I think was a pretty good deal for all of that. And then in future, I've already got the punch needle. I can use yarn that I've got if I find, you know, that I know how to do this now. I can just, you know, buy a PDF pattern and trace it. I think the Choose app is just such a great resource to even find new brands that you haven't been aware of before. So if you would like to check out the Choose app, then make sure and use the link in my description, and that will give you $20 off your first purchase. So if you use the code YoungFolkKnits, that will also work, but it will automatically apply the code if you use the link in my description box. All right, I'm also very much looking forward to this knit, which I'm going to be doing for a fall sweater. And that is going to be using this Noro Madara. And this is the color 4. And it is just this luscious blue. It reminds me of the ocean and the sea because it has all of this green in it. It's so pretty, and I am so excited. Knitting Fever sent me enough of this to make a pullover, and I'm trying to decide which pattern I want to knit. I'm very heavily leaning towards the Felix pullover. I have the pattern, and I've never made one. I've only made the cardigan, so this is that's a strong contender for that. They also sent me the color 23. So I think this would be really pretty in a Felix pullover, but sort of a cropped version that I could wear with dresses. And I think I would just wear the heck out of this in fall and winter. I love this. I love the orangey bits in the purple. I feel like it just sets off the purple so beautifully. And I don't know which one I want to make a pullover out of first. I really love them both. But I am very much so leaning towards a Felix pullover, and I'd like to get started on that very soon. They also sent me a gorgeous set of interchangeable needles from Luca. And this is ones I have been wanting to try so much. It is these beautiful metal copper ones. So I do have the Luca needles in driftwood, and I love them. These, I think, I'm just such a metal needle fan. I think I would like these a little bit more than the driftwood ones. They have some really gorgeous Luca needles. They have all these different bases, so they have all these different materials. So they have the metal ones, they have the driftwood ones, they have bamboo, and I would definitely check out Knitting Fever to look at all the different sets that you can get. I love this brown case. I just think this is beautiful, and that copper colored Luca tag on the front, it's gorgeous. Which color should I do first, y'all? Should I do the purple or should I do the blue? Okay, what have I been reading or listening to or watching? I'm still watching Northern Exposure, but I'm also watching reruns of Monk. I love reruns of Monk. It's such a nostalgic show. I just love watching that sometimes. I've also been going back and watching a lot of movies with Lauren Bacall. And, you know, she's famous in her own right, but also Humphrey Bogart and her were just a famous couple. One of the first movies she was ever in was with him, and then they ended up getting married, I think after their second movie or during their second movie. But they made like 4 movies together. And then I found one that I had actually never seen before. And it's one with her and Gregory Peck. And it's called Designing Woman. So sometimes I just love to go back and watch all of the glamour Hollywood movies that were in the 40s and 50s. One of my favorite movies that she is in is one that is also got Marilyn Monroe in it. And I think it's called, no, it's not How to Marry. Is it How to Marry a Millionaire? Is that the name of it? Yes, How to Marry a Millionaire. I love that movie. It's such a classic. Okay, I have continued to try to find audiobooks that I enjoy, and I just can't recommend, I can't recommend most of them. However, I did just start one that I'm very excited for, and I'm hoping that it's one I can recommend when I finish it. So it is actually a mystery. It's in the mystery category, a murder mystery, and it has multiple books in the series, and the first one is called Shady Hollow. It is part of the Shady Hollow mystery books. This is book 1. It is written by Juno Black and narrated by Cassandra Campbell. I usually like her narration. Okay, listen to this. The first book in the Shady Hollow series, in which we are introduced to the village of Shady Hollow, a place where woodland creatures live together in harmony, until a curmudgeonly toad turns up dead and the local reporter has to solve the case. Reporter Vera Vixen is a relative newcomer to Shady Hollow. The fox has a nose for news, so when she catches wind that the death might be a murder, she resolves to get to the bottom of the case, no matter where it leads. As she stirs up still waters, the fox exposes more than one mystery and discovers that additional lives are in jeopardy. Vera finds more to this town than she ever suspected. It seems someone in the hollow will do anything to keep her from solving the murder, and soon it will take all of Vera's cunning and quickness to crack the case. So I think it's really clever, but if you're weird like me and you like that kind of thing, then check out Shady Hollow and tell me what you think. I'm working my way through it right now. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a little bit of fun hanging out, and I appreciate y'all being here so much. I did have someone gift me a pattern this week from my wish list on Ravelry, and I want to say thank you so much. That's an awesome way to support the channel, and it means so much to me. I really appreciate it, and I cannot wait to get that pattern knit up. So thank you. Also, don't forget that if you would like to use proven custom skincare, then you can click the link in my description for your discount. All right, y'all, if you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any future video content. I hope you have a great week making, and until next time, happy knitting, y'all.